Hi, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. I thought I would share a little bit about what a normal week of knitting looks like for me. This is just my normal routine. I'm not going to do anything special. I have a bunch of stuff planned over the weekend and I have work every day, obviously. I have one project that I'm going to try and focus on, and that is a test knit for James Watts, and it's called A Shirt of Fire and Ice. This is how it looks right now. So it's 2 panels that I've started to sew together over the shoulder. Oh, bye Pip. The deadline is technically on the 16th of April, so if I do as I plan, then I should make some really big progress of this over the next week. It is Thursday, and my partner is out tonight, so I might do my normal routine of having a slightly unhinged meal and sitting and catching up on podcasts and knitting on my own this evening once I finished work. But also, equally, it's a really nice day here in London, so I might go out for a little walk. I'm going to try my best not to prioritise knitting any more than I normally would in a given week, because I want this to feel authentic, and maybe I won't make a lot of progress next week, but then you might get to see some nice videos of me walking outside and doing some other things. But thanks for joining, and I'll see you very soon. Happy Friday. I just took my knitting to the pub for one drink, and I, since last night, have seamed over the shoulders, and I started working on the collar. I have to go and cook some dinner in a second, so I'm probably not going to do very much tonight, and I'm probably not going to do very much tomorrow morning because I have to go and do my long run, and that's going to take up the whole morning. But I will probably have some time to work on this tomorrow afternoon. And then it's Saturday, so I'm out in the evening. But after that, I think Sunday will be probably like a full knitting day. Maybe we'll see some real progress. Who knows? It's 4:15 and it's Saturday. If you're wondering why I am inside rather than out enjoying the sunshine, it's because I went for my long run this morning, and that took the whole morning, and now I'm absolutely dead. You obviously can't really knit whilst you run, and you can't really run while you knit, so they do have to be separate. And recently I've been doing so much running that it's been eating into most of the time that I normally would have been spending knitting. So since last night, I did a little bit this morning. I finished off doing the collar up at the top. I don't think it doesn't look very good. And I was wondering if it was because the rest is kind of blocked, but the collar isn't. So maybe I'm just not used to seeing it like not look that good. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed. And then I also did mattress stitch to seam up the sides. Maybe you can see. I have never done mattress stitch vertically before. I've always done it with two two like vertical bits of fabric that you then do the stitch on the sort of horizontal bar of the stitch. But because this is knit, actually it's knit like horizontally left to right. So that means that it's knit like that. That's kind of the top of the fabric. It's kind of like seaming the bottom of one piece of fabric to the top of that. But I'm not, like, I'm quite happy with the seam. I think it looks good. And it doesn't quite look as neat, I think, as when it's two bits side by side, but it definitely looks neat. So I'm going to do my first try on of this right now. I'll probably go off camera for 2 seconds just to try it on. It's not that sort of channel. But you think it looks great? I'm really happy with it. It's better on than I had it in my head. I didn't think it would look this good in my head. So I'm really happy with it. Yeah. It's quite difficult to wear because it has, like, the yarn that I've chosen is super rustic. It's kind of old. So it's a bit scratchy. But yeah, I like the colours. I think it looks good. I've just realised that I've been speaking far away from the mic. God knows what this audio is going to sound like. Please forgive me. I'm going out tonight, and the place that I'm going is like an hour away from where I live in London, as everything is in London. Everything is an hour away from everything else. And I have got to the point where I literally I just can't face an hour on the tube or any form of travel without something to knit on. And there's some things I think that I've learned over many, many failed attempts. Things that I have done on public transport, but things I wouldn't choose to do on public transport. So things I have done: picking up stitches from a seam, tubular bind off. Not a fan of doing that on public transport. Sewing a zipper, also done that on a National Express coach, and I don't recommend. It's really difficult, especially if you have pins and you're worried about like dropping them and then somebody picking them up and getting injured or whatever. I want to get into the knitting bit before I take it on the tube for that hour-long journey. And it's 4:30. I need to go in like 2 hours. So what I think I'll probably do is try and pick up for one of the sleeves along the side, and also maybe pick up for the hem. And then I'll have 2 bits that I can knit on whilst I'm on the tube. And that'll probably do me like an hour of knitting. Will probably do the hem and maybe some of the sleeve as well. I might get through a hem in an hour. And then I really don't want to be picking up for the sleeves on the tube there or on the way back. I really don't want to be doing the bind off on the tube. Really don't. So that means I've got this kind of an admin job of picking up all these stitches before I go. But yeah, Saturday update. Tomorrow's going to be a lot more knitting heavy. We've got absolutely nothing planned. I am going to do a thing on Sunday called Sleep Until Not Tired. Sunt, with an S. Every Sunday we sleep until not tired. And that will be a long sleep. I'm very tired. And I've not even gone out yet. Just going to do a bit of work on this while I speak to you, because I have not done as much today as I thought I would do on my Sunday. It's still a really beautiful day here in London, so it's been really nice weather, and we went out this morning and just did some errands, like taking things to the recycling centre, and my partner also bought some pots and things so that he could do some repotting of some of the plants on our balcony that have been long neglected. And I spent some of this morning doing some editing. So I have been editing this video and also having a look at some other just general YouTube and Instagram admin like reading people's comments and responding to DMs and things like that. So I haven't done quite as much on this as I expected to. I was absolutely howling at the thought yesterday that I would manage to make progress on both the sleeve and the hem in the couple of hours that I was traveling. I always really overestimate how much I think I'm going to be able to get done in a given amount of time. But I forget that this hobby, it does take a lot of time. One thing that I thought I might do at this point is to kind of introduce myself, because if you've not clicked on one of my videos before, then you might be kind of wondering who I am and what's going on. So I'm Becky. I am Scottish originally. I'm from Edinburgh, but as I have mentioned, I live here in London and I have done for the past 7 years. I live with my partner and my little cat, Pepper. And I have been knitting I always say I've been knitting for 12 years, but I do keep getting older, so I need to keep updating that number. It's probably about 20 years at this point since I've learned. And my granny taught me how to knit, and I made a couple of things with her. I also sewed some things with her as well, but she was a real sort of inspiration in terms of my crafting and hobbying. And I used to knit, guys, I used to knit before it was cool. I remember getting my first ever job, probably 2010, maybe even earlier, and sitting and knitting on my lunch break in a coffee shop near where I was working. And that felt very bold at the time, to knit in public in that way. And people weren't kind of cruel or anything, but definitely a couple of people would kind of like nudge who they were sitting with and be like, oh my God, look at what she's doing. So it was a little bit less, I think, common than it is now. And now I don't see anybody really staring at all if I'm knitting in public. But I got over that fear of knitting in public really early on. And I actually really like that people will come and ask me questions about it when I'm out in public. And sometimes people will strike up conversations and people will say, oh, my mum used to do this, or my aunt used to do this, or I used to do it, but I can't do like that specific thing that I see you doing. And then you can talk a little bit about it, and it's a shared point of connection. And I think that's one of the best ways that I have had, one of the only ways where I've actually managed to have a conversation with a stranger is when they strike up a conversation about what I'm knitting on. So I love to talk about it. And I find that when people start speaking to you about it, they also love to talk about it. So it's quite nice, just little points of human connection. I normally here on my channel, I do a standard knitting podcast format. So if you're interested in that, then please do go and have a look at some of those videos. I upload probably about every month just to give a bit of a progress update on what I'm working on. And I will go through what I finished, so finished objects. I will go through works in progress, and I'll go through acquisitions as well. But this time around, or this year, I haven't had any yarn acquisitions because I just have too big of a stash really at this point. I did do a stash tour that was so long, I had to split it into 2 parts because I kept telling little stories about where I'd got certain yarn or certain things. But that might give you a bit of a sense of why I'm not buying any more, just because I have probably enough to last me through this year and the next. So that's a bit more about me and this channel. And sorry it took so long throughout this video for me to get to that point, but if you've made it this far, maybe you'd be interested in that as well. So for the rest of the day, I am planning on spending some time gaming with my sisters. So both of them live quite far away from me and quite far away from each other. So it's something that we do every so often on a Sunday just to stay connected and have a chat and see how we're going. And we haven't done it in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. I will also probably go to the gym tonight if I can find the energy to do so. I tend to do like weights on a Sunday alongside running. I am working tomorrow on Monday. I'll probably be working from home, so when I'm working from home, I tend to knit a little bit in the morning, a little bit over lunch, and obviously in the evening when I'm done. So I get a little bit more done, I suppose, because I'm not knitting, I'm not doing that commuting. But I do knit on my commute as well. And when I go to the office later on this week, I will share with you how that goes. We'll see how far we get. I don't know how this evening is going to go. I can't see that I'm going to have loads of time to work on this. But actually, sitting and working on it now with you is working out quite well. Now, this is like a knitting, what I knit in a week, but the majority of what I've been doing is sewing. You can count a bind off as sewing, a tubular bind off as a sew. But thanks for sitting with me while I got some of this hem done. I'll see you soon. Hello, happy Monday. It is 6:15 and I have just finished work. So I did a little bit last night, a little bit more than I thought I would last night. And I also managed to do a little bit in this morning and over my lunch break as well. So I thought I would give you an update on progress. And here it is. So actually big progress, big progress, because we have a hem at the bottom, a hem, and also have one sleeve. So I think I said these were going to be little shorty sleeves, so if you thought that this was going to be like a big long sleeved garment, I'm sorry, I misled you. So obviously I've just got the one other sleeve to do, but I'm just going to do a little try on now and see how she's looking. So yeah, this is how she looks. Obviously I have to do the other sleeve, and I am going to go to run club tonight. I've got about an hour before I need to go, so I'm probably going to make a little bit of progress on that now, alongside like kind of tidying up and doing general house admin. And then, yeah, maybe we'll actually finish this week. That would be so nice, wouldn't it, if I filmed a week of knitting and then I turned out to actually just finish a garment in that time. Wow, that would be crazy. But I always forget that I actually have to weave in ends and block and do all of that fun stuff. So maybe that's ambitious. But yeah, let's go. Okay, sorry, it's actually still Monday. I've just got back from run club. It's about 9 o'clock. Sorry, Roman. This is really me sharing on the internet. This is like prime slob mode. Although I did dry my hair for you, but normally I would have just been sat here with like wet hair. One thing I forgot to say earlier on was that I actually messed up when I did this before, when I did the seaming up the side. Like somehow I did not count the actual number of stitches that you needed to do. So I had to, just before we came out, I had to sew this up a little bit more, and that is going to be extremely annoying from like a weaving in ends point of view. I'm going to have more to do there. And now I need to pick up all of these stitches around the armhole. When I did this yesterday, I did it on a circular needle, and this is my preferred way of doing it, is that you will pick up all the stitches on the circular needle, because I just find that easier. But because I hate magic loop, I'll then transfer to DPNs, and that might sound a little bit insane, but it's worked for me so far all this time, and I will not hear any criticism about it whatsoever. Because I decided that I was going to do this week of knitting, what I was going to do was cast on something tonight so that I could take that on my commute tomorrow, because I don't like carrying big projects, like late stage projects around on the tube. I much prefer to have something really small, either something that's just been cast on or something really light that you can take. So I was actually going to cast on a sock. I know I'm not really a sock knitter, but socks do have their use, and they are, I think, really good for taking traveling, especially when you're just knitting down the sole. I was going to say the body of the foot. I really want to get this second sleeve done tomorrow so I can put it on the blocking mat tomorrow night. And then, well, actually I would need to weave in all the ends, and that actually always takes me an evening. But then I could put it on the blocking mat tomorrow night, and then maybe I would like break the rules a little bit and show you what it looks like on Thursday when it's dry. Today you get wet hair, but you also get a new angle in here. It is 9:30, and it's the first time in the day that I'm able to actually sit down and look at my knitting. I brought it on the tube this morning. I normally do sit and knit, and my commute is like 30 minutes on the tube into work and a bit of a walk either side. I did not get to do any on the way in today. Unfortunately, I had to work on the way in, and I barely took a lunch break today. I think I sat down and did genuinely one row on this over my lunch. Here's where she's at just now. Not a lot further along, I think, than last night when I showed you this, but that's just the pickup stitches there for the armhole. So I'm only on the second stripe, and there are 4 stripes before the ribbing, and then you cast off the arm. I am going to the office again tomorrow, so I'm going to try again and knit on my commute in, but it's just been like a really busy, crazy week and loads to do, and much as I would love to spend every single free moment that I have knitting away, sometimes life just doesn't work out like that. Sometimes you pick up a hobby like running that takes up your whole life and means you're always sitting with wet hair and you never get to relax. One other thing, because I haven't had a lot of knitting time in the past few days, I have noticed that today I was feeling really anxious. Really anxious. I notice that happens a lot more when I don't get the chance to sit and move my hands like this and make something or craft something. And the running helps with it, but actually it's the knitting that works best. Hopefully I can cast off? I'm going to say cast off. I'm going to say the UK version. Apologies to any Americans that are watching. But I am going to cast off tomorrow. Pledge that I'm going to cast off before the end of this week of knitting. Not the best time to start filming, to be honest. There you go. Hi, it is Wednesday. It's the last day of this week of knitting, week in the life of knitting. I am cooking. It's my turn tonight. I'm so close to finishing the knitting on the top. Before I do that, like, question number A, is this appropriate for taking to the office? Because I got a comment today that said that you shouldn't wear children's drawings on your shirt in the office. It was from a friend. It wasn't from management or anything, but I did wonder if it was too casual. And I actually think this top is from a sushi restaurant, like serving staff or a chef in a sushi restaurant. Or maybe it's just a fashion top, I don't know. But I thought it was fine. So I open it up to your judgment. Where's my knitting? My knitting's here. Yeah, so I was really pleased because before I went on my commute today, I managed to finish off the last grey stripe, which meant that I only needed to carry one ball of yarn in my bag, but also it meant that I was into the ribbing and I could just take the ribbing needle instead of taking the main body DPNs and also the ribbing needle. And yeah, I was feeling really smug with myself, like super smug with myself. I was like, wow, I've really planned out this travel knitting super well. But then I undid it all by doing the tubular bind off one row too early on the ribbing, and then I'd only done like a couple of stitches, so then I undid the tubular bind off. And let me tell you, there's one thing more annoying than doing tubular bind off on the tube, and it's undoing tubular bind off on the tube. That's the one thing that's more annoying. But basically, I'm thinking this will be good to block tonight. It really depends on what I do with the weaving in of the ends. I do this differently for like every single project. For some projects, I'll weave in ends after having blocked. For some, I'll weave in ends before blocking. And honestly, I don't think there's, well, tell me if there is a right answer to this, but I don't think there is a right answer. I think it really depends on the yarn that you're doing, the project that you're doing. Kind of depends on your motivation as well. But because I already blocked the panels of the top, at a minimum, I think I'm going to try and weave in all the ends from the panel on the top. And then the blocking, I will focus more on like pinning out the arms and stuff. When I did a try on the other day with this sleeve, one sleeve, and the sleeve was quite tight and the body was looser in fit overall. And at first I thought that was because I blocked the body panels and that this is just going to ease out post-blocking. And that may still actually be true, but I was speaking to somebody else who was part of the test knit group, and she said the same thing, that the sleeves felt tighter and the body felt a bit looser, which is kind of interesting. It's not as if it's uncomfortable. I don't necessarily hate it, but I expected that to be resolved in the blocking. So I might try and be a little bit more aggressive on blocking the arms and just give it maybe a little bit more space than the pattern calls for, and see how far I can take this yarn. How far will she go? It's not superwash. It's just the purple is hemp tweed and the grey is it's sheep wool. I don't really know any more about it than that. I don't have any information on the wool. So it's kind of stiff, and I think that the blocking is going to help as well, like softening it up. I'm considering steam blocking it rather than wet blocking it, but I wet blocked the body, so I might do a bit of research before that. It's done. Oh, that's the back. This is the front. It's done. And here's the proof that I wove in all of those ends. It took me actually like 2 hours. But yeah, they're all woven in, and I'm gonna now give it a bath, give it a block, and then when it's dry, I'm gonna come back and say thank you for joining me on this week in the life, week of knitting. And it's almost like I planned it to end with a finished object, but I promise that I didn't. I'm just glad that it did. It feels satisfying.